Greetings again. This is Brian Fields, amateur radio call sign, W9CR, and this is another one of these videos where I'm speaking to you rather than working on an interesting project. So one of the unfortunate things I have to come and talk about today is, well, coordination in the state of Florida is no more. There's no amateur radio coordination that works in the state of Florida. There's the Florida Amateur Radio Council, or the Florida Repeater Council, and they are a corrupt group of hams across the state. From the top down, they are corrupt. They run the organization as they see fit, not with input from the membership, and we actually started to try and work with them and make them follow their written bylaws, make them follow their coordination policy. And now, my background in this is I just wanted to coordinate a repeater. We had a great site. We wanted to go on 220 and 900 megahertz, and finally we got one on UHF too. UHF works great. 224, 280 in Tampa, 443, 525 in Tampa, and 927, 050 in Tampa. We have a few others that are coming online in St. Petersburg and Sarasota shortly. Probably sometime in the next year. And these have been online now for about 2 years. We had a very simple problem. We bought a 220 repeater from somebody else. I said, I want to coordinate it. Let's get it online. There's no one else on 224, 280, basically south of Tennessee and over to Texas. So it's completely clear frequency. There's very little activity on the 220 megahertz band, and we like to change that. We were stymied at every single turn interacting with Dana Radikis, K4LK, and you can check him out, k4lk.com. He is the only person that does coordination in the state of Florida. I don't know what the rest of the directors do. They really don't do much. But, okay, I said, I'll be a member. We'll work through it. In the first meeting I showed up to, they told me to sit down and shut up. That was my first interaction with the Florida Repeater Council. I was being respectful. I just asked about my coordination. I said, where are we at? I've submitted this stuff. It's been 6 months. We can't even get a coordination. That's unacceptable. We have, right now, no new coordinations have been done in the state of Florida by the Florida Repeater Council in over a year. So, I went to our last meeting in Melbourne. We had agreed to work together, and, I had number of proxies from a number of members that were as pissed off as I was, rightfully so. A board has a duty to its members, has a duty to its charter, has a duty to exist because it is a nonprofit corporation. The real problem we have is we have people on this board that have never been elected properly. I did a simple information request. I want to know the last time people were elected. Wanted to know some financial information, wanted to get a members list. I was actually called on the phone and told I'm not picking that fucking thing up from the post office by Mike Fletcher, NI4M, who's the secretary. So I said, okay, well, I had my attorney write him a note. I said, I want to know this. I'm a member of the corporation. I'm entitled to it. I'm involved with several nonprofits. Even if you're not a member, you want to write us and ask about our financial information, please do so. I mean, that's it's a 501c3 non-for-profit in our case. Actually, 50c3 for in the other case. So, anyways, I went to the Melbourne meeting. We had this agreement to work together. They said that they're not going to work with me because I have retained counsel. Until I get rid of my attorney, they're not going to work with me. That's just unconscionable and illegal under Florida law to demand a party you're working with to forego the advice of counsel. That's just not something you do. Anyways, I agreed to do that to work with them. Maybe we can get somewhere. It was wrong. Dead wrong. It was paid lip service too. After the meeting, nothing happened, nothing changed. And so I went to the meeting now in Orlando yesterday. It's Sunday here after the Orlando Hamcation. This meeting was held not in the normal place, but it was held almost a half-mile away from the Florida, where it normally is held, at the Orlando Hamcation. It was held in a much smaller space. It was held in a space limited to 20 people. So we had packed the room basically with our supporters. We had a number of people that wanted to hear us. We had, unfortunately, a number of people there that wanted to cause problems as well. But I had 40 proxies, 42 proxies actually, including the proxy of one of the directors that was not there to act in his stead. And began my speech. I was prepared to the board, addressed the board, said this is wrong, this is a members meeting. Point of order, nobody here has been properly elected. One of the guys actually got up and said, what do you mean I've not been elected? I've so been elected. I was elected back in 1990. They have 2-year terms. Nobody was elected after that. The board had reappointed him. I said, well, that's weird. Don't you think you have to have a re-election? And I've talked to numerous members. They can't recall ever having an election. And that was part of my request. I said, I want to know the details of the last 4 elections that we've had and who won, who voted. Of course, nobody voted. The board voted themselves back in. So I brought in kind of what we wanted to do for our case. It's FRCreform.org, and basically I said we need to demand these electors, these directors resign. We need to get some new people in here. We need to get some people that actually want to move forward with amateur radio in the state of Florida. We have a number of very talented individuals that would love to help them and love to help us develop an organization that works. And I mean, would it be outside the realm of possibility to say, hey, let's get a booth at maybe a couple of the major Hamfests, do some outreach, things like that? Be an organization that says yes, not an organization that says no. And right now we have an organization that just doesn't say no, they say hell no. I would love to have an organization that says, you want to get a repeater on the air? Cool, let's find you a pair, let's do it. In most of the state, there's, with the exception of maybe Miami-Dade and a little bit around Tampa, there's pretty much a 2-meter pair available everywhere. Especially if you want to do some of the newer digital modes. You can pretty much fit D-Star or NXDN or even DMR almost anywhere. DMR is a little bit wider than the other two, but I'm getting into technical issues. Our website is outdated. This idea that the FRC was hacked is not the case. Their website was never hacked. They want to say that they were to cover up their own incompetence. That's fine, but one of the directors publicly posted the database. That's what happened. And furthermore, them trying to scapegoat me and falsely reporting me to law enforcement for that and having to get my lawyer involved there, that's what you call a SLAPP action. Strategic lawsuit or law enforcement against public participation. So we need to have a nonprofit that works. We need to have a council that works for its members, not for its directors. I really don't know what its directors do. They're king of nothing. They have no authority. They seem to want to be divisive and aggressive when it comes to making anything happen in Florida. That's not the way a council should work. So anyways, at the meeting I got up, I spoke. I was, of course, immediately cut off by Director Fletcher saying, well, you're 5 minutes up. I said, well, I'm here. This is Robert's Rules of Order. It's a members meeting. No, it's not. This is a directors meeting, is what I'm told. I said, well, no, it's the annual members meeting, which we're required to have. Because certainly Melbourne wasn't, and the next meeting will be in Melbourne. So this is what's happened. We haven't had a members meeting. So I got up. I argued for this. We had a number of people in the room there. Let's see. One of these guys here, yeah. The District 5 Director, James Dool, N0, XIA, went in and actually called the police on us and said there was a fire marshal violation. We had more than 20 people in the room. My supporters said, well, you have our proxy, we'll leave you and get it down to whatever. I don't know if it was a fire marshal violation or not, but certainly there were police officers that were brought in by this director. And I believe having this in the smaller forum was definitely an orchestration between Steve Lohman and directors Rodakis and directors Glenn Mike Fletcher, NI4M. This is what happens in a sick organization run by sick individuals. So we need to reform this. And my next thing that happened is we got into the board meeting, and of course made my thing. They would not listen to me, would not even allow me to speak. That's not right. They got into the board meeting then, and they did their back and forth, whatever. Wouldn't recognize me still. I said, well, you know, I'm a member here. I have a right to speak. And Director Felcher would completely ignore me. I said, well, that's par for the course. Why don't you do your job? And he believes he's doing his job. He's I really don't get what they're going after here, but I'm just looking to make repeater coordination work. So at this meeting, the directors voted to remove all the members from the corporation. So if you were a member of the Florida Repeater Council, you no longer are, at least according to the directors. They don't have the power to do that under Florida law. Simply, the members could certainly get together and vote themselves out, but you can't have the directors unilaterally remove all the voting members from the corporation. So as of right now, we have a sick corporation run by people that have no idea of proper corporate governance, especially if nonprofits, running the organization to the ground. There's no fundraising plan, there's no nothing. So the principal people we have in this corporation running it now is, what's his name? Glenn Fletcher, NI4M. He's actually a vice president of the Tampa Amateur Radio Club. I would be very concerned as a Tampa Amateur Radio Club member that somebody like this is actually involved with it. Director 7, Douglas Stewart, District 7, KI4NAD. Dana Rodakis, K4LK. He and is actually the only person that does coordinations in the state. He's the registered agent of the corporation who avoids service. There is supposedly Chuck Lavender, W4CLL, has resigned, but who knows, because the disturbing thing was, at the last Hamfest, Frank Butler resigned, W4RH. What do you know? Come back in there, he's sitting there back on the board, with minutes and everything from the prior meeting and the agenda of this meeting, voting as a board member. He's never been elected. Never been elected after he resigned. How does that happen? District 3, you have Steve Lellman, N4SGL. He has absolutely no business running any sort of a corporation. If he's involved with your club, you need to be very concerned. And then the person that called the police on us, James Dool, N0XIA. He's a trustee of the K1XC repeater. And I would be very concerned in working with him. Both these people are way involved in amateur radio and multiple organizations in the state, in addition to the Florida Repeater Council. And, of course, Frank Butler, W4RH, he's a former ARRL board member. We'd think he would know better. So, this is the problem we have in Florida. I don't know the fix for it. I doubt it's going to be fixed outside of a courtroom setting. We're reviewing our options here. And if you want to be part of us, if you want reform of how we do spectrum management in Florida, check out frcreform.org. Email me, brian@brianfields.net. Call these directors that are listed on the Florida Repeater Council website. Ask them what the hell they're thinking. Get a little mad, get a little pissed off, because they have just disenfranchised you. Every single repeater owner in the state, every single club, every single amateur radio operator in the state that uses the band plan that they've set out, you are now disenfranchised. If the ARRL did this, we would be up in arms. We would be suing the ARRL. And that's unfortunately not happening. So I enjoy building repeaters. I really eschew the politics of it. And I know what a proper run organization is. Had they granted the coordination, I probably wouldn't have cared. And that's the problem we have, is a lot of apathy. And you know, if you have your coordination and you're worried about it, well, they can't force you off the air. I'm going to run all my stuff uncoordinated now, and at least until we either reform the FRC or until something else comes along. So I'll update from here time to time. I'm certainly going to update the website, and we're going to figure out a way forward, because there's 60 of us and they can't ignore us, considering the size of the organization. Anyways, 73s for now. Please check out the video of it, and email me if anything should come up or you have any ideas. This is Brian Fields, amateur radio call sign, W9CR from St. Petersburg, Florida.